All right, guys, so I came back in my office to make the nightly video and I screenshotted this just because I thought it was super nice. And Robin had typed that in chat, and I just want Robin to know I appreciate that. I know Wayne does as well. Um, you know, you can have a lousy day trading it in my profession and still get something like that. And I didn't have a lousy day, but I'll talk about the market in a minute. But stuff like that just makes it all awesome because I think most I hate to use the word accomplished. Most consistently profitable traders, like Wayne and myself, obviously took years of trials and tribulations and blood, sweat, and tears and everything else to get to that point. And so I don't want to speak for Wayne, but I probably can. But I would say most people that have made it to consistent profitability will never forget all the pitfalls, right? And if you actually want to educate people and help them avoid it, you try to pass all those pitfalls along, to help people avoid them. I've always said there's no better teacher than pain, right? I can tell you about a trading death spiral I've been in, and I could walk you through all the emotions I went through and try to paint a really good picture. And you'll go, yeah, that sounds terrible. But unless you've been in one, you still won't appreciate it, right? And if you're listening to me and you don't know what a trading death spiral is, you haven't been trading very long because it explains itself. All right, anyway, the market to me has been really, really weird because keep in mind, I do scans every night. I've done scans every night and made a watch list video pretty much every night since, 2004 maybe. And so I'm really used to this. And most nights I can find something that, is a good bounce play setup. And generally some of the quick parameters for those would be 3 or 4 days down in a row and some extra volume and recently in play. And then also I look for strong stocks, and that would be stocks, high relative volume and a nice move. And I'm not finding very many on either side. It's just a weird market. Like I think yesterday was the Dow up like 500 points or something. And it just didn't feel like it. A lot of it was the gap. Maybe it wasn't yesterday. Hell, maybe it was today. I don't know. But it just doesn't feel like it because the market is kind of chopping sideways for a good portion of these days, even though some of these candles don't really show that. There's not a lot of follow through. So I had a decent day again. I don't remember the last red day I had, but I think it was like I lost $48 or $62 or something. And other than that, I've been just, grinding along higher every day. But we're just not seeing any passion behind any of the moves. So you kind of have to adjust things if you're a day trader. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents on the market, and I'm going to show you what I'm watching for tomorrow. I'm not in love with this list at all, but RKLB I mentioned in the video last night because I saw it gapping in after hours, and it had decent volume today and did close above its open, but it's also kind of right in the middle of its recent range, maybe a little bit on the higher end. When I say recent range, I mean like the past couple weeks, kind of been bouncing between 14 and 16, and you could argue, well, it closed closer to 16, so maybe it'll have a follow-through day tomorrow. I'm not in love with that, but I'm not in love with anything on tonight's list. MRUS, big gap up, big volume, closing well off its highs though, but I'm going to put it on watch because I don't have that much to watch. I typed that wrong. AEHR, really strong move today, right up to recent highs. So it's extended because if you notice, it's got 4 green days in a row. So it might be better to watch for a short than a long. Anytime something runs that far, that quickly to get up to recent highs, it's probably a better fade. But as a day trader, it's making good moves, so I am going to watch it. I think Alan H made a nice call in that one today. PALT. This one hurt because I'll take today's candle out. This was my favorite bounce play coming into today. But what happened was it opened and just ran. I saw a tweet by, I want to say Sophia maybe, saying she took an entry. I'm not sure where but she got in early. She called it an inside fives, I want to say. So maybe she was talking about this five. Maybe she took it over this candle. I'm not sure, but maybe she meant an inside twos. Either way, Sophia found a way early and did really well on it. For me, this thing just took off. And even like 10 minutes in, let's see, these are 5-minute candles. So even 10 minutes in, everything I thought about felt like chasing, right? I guess I could have said, all right, well, now we got a red candle and then it's back. I don't know, but it's easy to say that when you see what it did. I have very specific bounce play, intraday bounce play setups that I like, and unfortunately PALT didn't really give me any that I look for. So sometimes you'll have something on Bounce Watch and it'll just rip out of the gate, and I mean, it's easy to look back and say, man, I should have jumped in anywhere in there, but as it's unfolding, it always feels like chasing, and I just, I don't look at it as a miss, because for me, it didn't give me an A+ setup, but man, did it make a big move today this morning. All right, anyway, I am going to put that back on watch, even though it closed way off its highs. This big intraday move might have shorts a little freaked out on any kind of strength tomorrow. So we'll see if you get an A+ setup into tomorrow. But I liked it better coming into today, to be honest with you. PED, they did an offering recently, but it had a big move back here. I think then they did the offering, and then it's right back up, which does make it interesting to me. So I'm going to watch that one. CEI, I should have had this on Bounce Watch. I had it on a chart thinking Bounce Watch, but honestly, with the big gap up, made me like it a little less anyway. But this has fallen from almost 5. They had a short report put out on it, all the way down to below $1 in like a week, maybe a little over a week. So this is, you could call this day one of the bounce. So it might have a follow-through day. So I am going to watch it for an A+ intraday setup. VYGR, just, inside day after yesterday's big gap up. We're going to keep that one on a chart. SPIR, no trigger in it today, just goes right back on the Bounce Watch. I know that's not a pretty daily chart, but as a day trader who's in cash every night, a lot of times a stock like this will give a nice bounce one day, and if it gives me an A+ setup, we'll all make a bunch of money or some decent money on it. So I'm just going to keep it on watch until it gives me an A+ setup or does something like PALT did today, and I never get an entry. But to me, it's still valid as a bounce play. Now, I'm just looking for an oversold snapback bounce. SDC, nice 2-day move. Gapped up a little bit today, sold off, but ended up holding up pretty well. I'm not in love with this chart either. I do think there's a lot of shorts in the name, so that one goes on watch. ANY, I'm just looking for kind of a break of the 2-day high here, maybe. Excuse me. IONQ did bounce today. I don't think it gave any kind of a setup. Oh yeah. We did call that one. Wayne pointed out the volume on this one before it broke the high of day. So anyone in here could have Tokyo'd it or taken the high of day break. Now that's not an afternoon high of day break that I love, but it still met the parameters. Anyway, it still didn't break a previous day's high, and this is fallen from 13, so it put in a green day. This is just me looking for a follow-through day of today's bounce, right? NFE, big volume, strong day. We'll look for a follow-through day there. And then lastly, VXRT, which is an ugly chart, but in after hours they had a decent-sounding headline, and it's trading at 785 right now. So we'll see if it's still gapping in the morning, possible gap and go. We'll see how it sets up, if it sets up. We'll add other gappers to this list in the pre-market as well. And I'm done babbling. I'll see you guys in the morning.